So first step we're going to do is graph it. So I'm going to plot all these points. So I have the 0.55 for point A. We have B, which is 3, -5, way down here. And C is -3, 4. Okay. And we're going to connect those lines to the best of our ability. Okay, so that's step 1 is to graph it. Step 2 is you're going to pick 2 things. So I'm going to pick AB and BC. Okay, so step 1 is to find the midpoint. Okay, so I'm going to write down these so that way I don't have to keep zooming in and out. So A is 5, and B is 3, -5. Okay, so I'm going to find the midpoint. So the midpoint is you add the x's together, divide by 2, and then you add the y's together, divide by 2. So this is going to be 5 plus 5, 5 plus 3, because these are our x values. 5 plus 3 divided by 2, comma 5 plus -5 divided by 2. 5 plus 3 is 8, divided by 2 is 4. 5 plus 5 is 0, divided by 2 is 0. So this is my midpoint of AB. Okay, let's go find the midpoint of BC while we're at it here. So we have 3, -5, and we have -3, 4. Okay, so midpoint. Again, we're going to add those x's. So we're going to have 3 plus -3 divided by 2, and -5 plus 4 divided by 2. So we're going to have 0 divided by 2, which is just 0. And -5 plus 4 is -1, divided by 2 is just -1/2. So if it's a fraction answer, that's totally fine. So this is the midpoint of BC. Okay, next step is we're going to find the slope of each one. So slope is y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. Okay, so we're going to have 5 minus -5 over 5 minus 3. This becomes a big plus sign, so we have 10 over 2, which is equal to 5. Okay, and then the next part is we want to find the perpendicular slope. Excuse me, sorry about that. Remember, this is over 1. To find the perpendicular slope, we flip the fraction and we flip the sign. Okay, let's go ahead and do that with BC here. So we're going to have y1, which is -5 minus 4, over 3 minus -3. This becomes -9 over 6, because that becomes a big plus sign. This will reduce to -3/2. Sorry, guys. Okay, and then the perpendicular slope, we're going to flip the fraction and change the sign. Since it was negative, it's going to become positive. All right, we're going to go ahead and shrink this down because I'm writing very, very large. Okay, now that we have the midpoint and the slope, okay, we're going to write an equation. Our equation is going to be y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So my slope is -1/5, so I'm going to pop that in there. Y is always going to be y, and then the y1 here is 0 from our midpoint. Okay, and then our 4 is going to be our x, so we're going to have x minus 4. Okay, and now I want to solve for y on this, so we're going to go ahead and distribute our -1/5. Y minus 0 is just 0, so we're just going to leave it as y. So this would be -1/5 times x. If I type -1/5 times -4 in the calculator, I'm going to get a positive 4/5. Okay, and I'm going to box that because that's going to be important for later. We're going to go ahead and do the same thing over here for BC. So we have our y minus y1, which was the -1/2. So that actually becomes a +1/2 equals our slope, which is 2/3, times x minus 0. Again, I want to solve for x. We're going to distribute the 2/3. Y plus 1/2 equals 2/3 x. 2/3 times 0 is just 0, so I'm not even going to write it. I need to get y by itself, so I'm going to subtract 1/2 from both sides. I cannot combine 2/3 x and 1/2 because one has an x and one does not, so we're just going to write it as 2/3 x minus 1/2. Now that y is by itself, we're going to box it because that's going to be important for the next part. Shrink that down again here. Now that we have two equations and we're going to set them equal to each other, so I'm going to take this part and this part. So we're going to have -1/5 x plus 4/5 is equal to 2/3 x minus 1/2. Okay. Now I want to get those x's together, so I'm going to add 1/5 x to both sides. I just like to move my negative x to my positive one so my x stays positive. So we are going to have 2/3 plus 1/5, and that is going to give us a 13/15 x minus 1/2. We are going to go ahead and add 1/2, add 1/2. So 4/5 plus 1/2 is going to give us 1 3/10, which is the same as 13/10. Give me just a second. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and divide by 13/15. Okay, and if we do copy dot flip-flop here, we would have 13/10 times 15 over 13. 13s are going to cancel. 5 goes into both of those 3 times and 2 times, and conveniently we get 3/2, which is great. That's what we wanted to happen because they told us the answer was 3/2. And then last but not least, you are going to go ahead and plug that back in here for x so we can solve for y. So we're going to have 2/3 times 3/2 minus 1/2. This ends up being, this crosses off, so we're just left with 1. 1 minus 1/2 is 1/2, which conveniently is the answer we're supposed to get. Okay. Have a great day. We'll talk to you later. Bye.